All right, well, it's not only negative stuff we do on this channel, okay? Sometimes there's going to be something good in here. For example, look at that. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Look at how adorable that is. So PlayStation's coming out with a new controller in relation to Astro Bot, which I totally forgot is going to be out on September 6th. So we're just shy of a month away from it. So, yeah, I think everybody on the Pixel Play podcast, which if you haven't already, you should be checking that on YouTube as well if you want to see more of my stuff there. Yeah, me, Kalen, and Chris are all looking forward to this a lot and cannot wait for it. I mean, it's definitely a game that, you know, has been sorely lacking in the PlayStation library. And just to add on to it, to have like a nice, cute little controller to go with it is just like the cherry on top to it. And not to mention, like, again, it's such a cute controller. Like it's perfect in how it's designed too. Like the blue accents in the on the buttons on the side on the, you know, the little touchpad in the middle. You got the little eyes there too. And like very rarely do you see white thumbsticks, which I'm sure, you know, if you get real, this is definitely not the main multiplayer controller. No, 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 no. You ain't using that one when things are getting real sweaty. But, you know, as just a regular controller, like this is exactly everything that I want to see in one. And it kind of just makes me think, man, I wish we could do more of these. I understand why we can't. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of money to be putting on a niche controller case. And obviously, like, I even thought, you know, at one point, like, man, couldn't they just make, like, you know, like removable casings so you could just change the top set? And then you realize, especially with these controllers with the adaptive feedback, you don't want to potentially be messing around with anything there. So, yeah, it's just one of those cases where, you know, you can only get so much. But it also brings up the idea, too, that, like, I don't even know if Xbox still does it. I assume they do, but, like, they have their custom controller lab that you can, you know, make one in, and PlayStation still doesn't. I mean, they're pretty good with coming out with, you know, a bunch of different colors. I mean, as it stands, like, I've got the red one here, got a blue one that's charging right now. I think I've got one more. I'm trying to remember if it's... Is it similar to this one where it's... I might also be mixing up PlayStation 4 controllers because they're all the same. But, yeah, like, they're relatively good with colors. I want to say at this point they're at least, like, in the double digits, if not, you know... I'm looking somewhere between 12 and 15, I would think, at this point. Because they do decent with if you're looking for more neon colors, if you're looking for more neutral colors. So you get that. But, like, you don't often get stuff like this where you've got, you know, the accents, you've got a different change of pace here when it comes to, you know, how the coloring of the buttons and the thumbsticks are, and obviously the middle plate doesn't rarely ever change at all. So to have something like this is kind of nice and a very welcome change. And it also just kind of brings more up of how, like, again, this game is going to be very, very cool to play because it does what a lot of games don't on the PlayStation, which is actually use the adaptive feedback a lot better. You know, with things that they mention here further down the article where they're talking about how even more surfaces are going to be I guess feelable is the word I'm looking for at this point. I don't know what the actual word is because English is a ridiculously massive language. But just the idea of all of these different things, because even from playing the demo of Astro's Playroom in the first place, there was definitely a noticeable difference from this game compared to any other game on the market. There are games that have sort of done things here and there. Like I remember Deathloop was one of the games where, you know, your gun can jam and you actually have trouble pushing the thumbstick down because of it, stuff like that. But like nothing has come remotely close to what Astro's Playroom has done. And now with Astro Bot coming out in just over a month, I'm very excited to see what they do with that as well. And just the sense of this being essentially a full game of what arguably is one of the best experiences you can get on the PlayStation 5 still to this day, and that came out with the console for free. And, you know, like I said at the top, this is something that's been sorely needed on the PlayStation library, and that's a game that can compete with the likes of Mario, can compete with the likes of Zelda. Now, I'm more leaning in the Mario direction because of the platformer aspect, but definitely, like, even just this boss here with the octopus, that is a Mario-looking boss right there. That seems like something that would have been there in Galaxy, you know? So, it's one of those things where it's been sorely lacking on the console. I hope to God that it's just as good as Playroom, if not better, because, well, we need some real interesting talks in the Game of the Year discussion as we get into the second half of the year, because, as it stands, I don't know what's beating Helldivers, at least in my opinion, and this seems like the only game that has a shot at it, so, Yeah, it'd be nice if it actually ends up being exactly what it says it's going to be. But yeah, like I'm super excited for it, and just having the news of this adorable freaking little console just makes it that much better. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna personally get it, at least not right away. If it ends up being something that like there's enough stock in that it eventually, drops in price a little bit, because that's how I always get them. I wait until like Amazon or someplace has them on for at least like 20-30 bucks off, and if I'm in dire need for a new one, because I wear, not even wear the thumbsticks, I wear like the little sides of it because I kind of sink my thumbnails into them. So I kind of wear the sides of these out a little bit. So I do end up needing new ones. Around once a year, I end up getting a new one, depending on if a good color is on sale or not. But yeah, that's usually how I wait for it. So, I mean, it'd be nice to have one of these. Is it one I'm going to go out of my way for? Probably not. I know Chris is definitely going to get one. I know that much for sure. Kaylin may as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But I know Chris well enough to know that if, because I think they said the pre-order is available on the 9th. Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't even say in Canada, which is concerning, but let's just assume that on Friday, August 9th, you can pre-order it. I wouldn't be surprised if he already does by that point. So, but yeah, I wish we could see more stuff like this, like even with things like designs, like having, a God of War controller where it's kind of got like lines on them similar to what the Axe does, or, very many other things that, like, I'm just blanking right now. But like, even like, not even just first party games, like I'm sure, if there was a cool thing that they could do around with something like, say, Persona or, other games like that, you could have some really interesting controller designs here. But again, the problem that I see with these at all times is, well, how many of these are you going to make for when you realize that, like, they may not sell all that well because some people don't need another controller, and especially not one that's based off of, something that they're not into, because that's the risk you take with stuff like this. Now, Astro Bot is a shoe-in. That is as easy as it's going to get. If there's any good niche controller you can buy for the PlayStation user base, this is going to be the one. But I mean, other ones that you could say, like, not everybody's going to be interested in a Horizon controller. Not everybody's going to be interested in a Gravity Rush one, which would be certainly niche if that was to ever happen. But, at this point, it's just a cool thing to have at this point. I want one. Am I going to get one? That's a whole different question. But I mean, it's nice to see, some cool stuff to kind of extra hype you up for a game that's coming out too. Because, well, let's be real, as we get further into the year, it's kind of quiet. Like, this is not to say that it isn't completely dead for the next 6 months. For me, it is mostly dead for the next 6 months. I think, did I have a list somewhere that I mentioned to myself, like, what was left on my schedule? I think I did somewhere. And no, that's a backlog. I have a problem with deleting stuff that I don't normally need to, and I think I did on this, because I did have a run of showing games that were going to be on my schedule going forward. I could have sworn that I had, oh, there it is. Yeah, it's got 3 games on it. That should tell you everything you need to know. And it's That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime game, which I'm pretty sure is not going to be great. So it's just there for the sake of having it there. Astro Bot in September, and Life is Strange Double Exposure in October. And it's not to say that there aren't games that I'm interested in. It's just these are the games that I am paying attention to. Anything beyond that, like Call of Duty, I'm probably going to play it at some point because Game Pass will have it. But I'm not going out of my way for it, so that's different. Astro Bot is one of the very few games that I am pretty sure that unless I am stupid busy, I'm playing ASAP, if not day one at the very least. But with that being said, that's going to do it on this rant. So I want you guys in the comments below to let me know, like, are you interested in that controller? Do you think that's one worth buying? And on top of that, like, is there another controller design that you would like to see if it's from like another game, whether it's PlayStation, whether it's Xbox, whether it's Switch, doesn't really matter. Like, what is a game series that you would love to see like a custom controller design to, and what would that look like to you? So let me know in the comments below. But other than that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and like I said, don't forget to take a look at the Pixel Play podcast, which is the show that I do with 2 of my friends, Kaylin and Chris. That is in the description, so you guys can check us out there. But that's going to do it for me, so thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye for now.